Very well everyone, and welcome to the Chef's Corner today in Juggernaut's Kitchen. This is an exciting new segment where every week we're going to have recipes that you can use in the lockdown with just the simple things that you have at home, so that you don't have to go out to buy these items actually from the supermarkets. So today for you we've got a wonderful recipe for homemade bread, and this is actually going to be without yeast. So it's a soda bread recipe, and the amazing thing is you can also have it on Ekadasi. And I know what you're thinking, oh my god, this is a game changer. But it's true, I've actually made this bread on Ekadasi as well with Ekadasi atta, and it turned out brilliantly, just as good as with the normal flour. So I'm sure you're all excited, so let's get into it today. Okay, so let's go through the ingredients that we're going to use today. For a full description of these, you can find the actual ingredients list in the description below. So, what we're going to use today is strong white flour. I like to use Allinson's strong white flour. You can use a mixture of flours if you want. It's going to be 4 cups, and some people like to mix 2 cups of strong white flour with 2 cups of wholemeal flour. I like to use the strong white flour because it just gives the bread a bit richer flavour. So it's a standard cup measurement that you use, and we're also going to add to that 1 3/4 cups of buttermilk. So to make that, we're going to use 1 cup of yogurt and 3/4 cups of water, and just mix them together, and that'll create your buttermilk. What you're going to have is 1 teaspoon of soda bicarb and 1 teaspoon of salt, combined with half of a lemon and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So that's the description of the ingredients list. Let's go through what we're going to do to make this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take a sieve, and we're going to sieve this flour, because you can't put it in just straight from the packet. So the easiest way to do this is to take the cup measurement and just sift 1 cup at a time. It just makes it a bit smoother and a little bit easier. So let's do that now. Okay, now we're going to add in our teaspoon of salt. And next, our teaspoon of soda bicarb. And next, what we're going to do is take that buttermilk that we've got, and we're going to add half a lemon to it and add in some olive oil to it. And what the lemon does is it helps it to rise. So giving it that little bit of tanginess will help the actual flour to rise. We're going to mix that nicely there. All mixed together. Okay, now all we're going to do is mix together the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients. So it's a simple matter of mixing in that mixture in and just combining it with your hands and kneading it a little bit. If you've got a dough maker, you can knead it a little bit manually first and then put it in, which is what I'm going to do. And if you haven't, that's not a problem either. Just knead the dough nicely until it's smooth. Don't be afraid to really get in there with your hands, grab up all of that loose flour and really knead it together nicely. The trick with this is not to add too much of the wet in right at the start, otherwise what happens is the dough ends up becoming too loose. So just pour in the rest of that mixture there. Okay, now we're ready to put this in the dough maker and finish off the rest of the kneading. You don't want to put it on too high a speed, because what will happen is, because it's a machine, it will end up making the dough very runny. So you want to put it on a low setting, maybe just a 1 or a 2, and let that for about 5 minutes. And keep an eye on the dough. If it looks like the actual machine isn't picking up a lot of the flour, just put a little bit of water and add it in there. And when you want it to finish is when the dough maker actually gathers all that dough together and it sticks to the actual binding tool at the top and just basically spinning around it, then you know it's about ready. So let's go in and put that in the dough machine. Okay, so now that our dough is finished making, what we're going to do is take an open tray. So you can actually use, I don't know, a cast iron one. I've got here a glass one. The key is for it to be quite open because the bread's going to expand. So what we're going to do is we're going to oil that tray with just about a tablespoon of olive oil. So we're doing this so that the actual bread doesn't stick to the tray and it browns on the bottom. So what you can also do is add a little bit of flour to that. Okay, so now we're going to transfer the dough into here. We're going to keep this a round shape, so you can imagine it's an open tray. I'm not going to shape it into anything, I'm just going to make sure it's nice and round. So let's go and take that dough out of here. Don't worry about the shape, it's going to look amazing once it's done. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit fancy and we're going to put a cut down the middle. Don't make this too deep or the bread when it expands will open out too much. This just to give it a bit of a nice look. And so just take the actual dough, just make a cut. And that'll do. So what we're going to do now is we've preheated the oven to a gas mark 7, and so that this dough actually cooks very nicely on the inside without browning too quickly, what we're going to do is we're going to cover it with some foil. So if you take your foil and cover it and make sure it's tightly covered. So we're going to pop that in the oven for 35 minutes. Try and put it on the middle shelf if you can. And for 35 minutes you're going to cook it with the foil on. After that 35 minutes you're going to take the foil off and continue cooking it for about 15 minutes. And you're going to take it out when it's nice and brown colour and looking all amazing to offer to the Lord. So let's do that now. Okay, you can see a wonderfully cooked loaf of bread. So a great tip after it comes out of the oven is to take some butter and we're actually going to rub it across the top just to give it that nice little flame. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you want to leave it for about 5 minutes so it cools within the tray before trying to take it out, just in case it sticks to the bottom. So once you do that, take it out and you can leave it to cool after that on a cooling rack. Okay, so now we're ready to cut the bread. So once you let it cool enough, take a nice sharp knife and you're just going to cut it in long lines across. That'll give you a nice toasted loaf. So let's do that. And you can see it's cooked all the way through. Beautiful bread and made without yeast. And that's how easy it is to make this amazing bread. And as you can see, it's made without yeast. And the amazing thing as well is that you can make this on Ekadasi. And I've actually tried this and I've made this bread and it's you use instead Ekadasi atta, which you can buy. I use the Foodco brand, I think it's very good. I've tried making it with the exact same recipe and it turned out almost identical. So for those of you that wanted pizza on Ekadasi, this is your dream come true. Okay, so thank you for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed Chef's Corner today in Jagannathji's kitchen. So over the next few weeks we'll have other devotees with similar recipes that you can make in the comfort of your own homes and offer to the deities very nicely. So thank you everyone for joining us and back to our scheduled programming.